Hi, this is Tony Davis for 1066 Sound, talking tonight to Grant Hockley and Henrik Steenholt of the band Empyre. Good evening, guys.
Good evening.
Good evening, Tony.
How are you both doing?
I'm good,
Pretty
thanks.
good, thanks. Yeah, pretty good.
Good. Thanks very much for joining me tonight. I was keen to catch up with you again because my audience are making a lot of inquiries about Empyre, so I thought it'd be quite nice to sort of catch up and have a chat. And I've seen you on the road a fair bit recently, and that's really been the story from sort of, I suppose, the tail end of last year into this year, hasn't it?
Yeah,
it's been pretty busy. So I think the last part of last year, it's very, very busy. Spent a few weeks on the road, quite a few festivals. So this year it's been fairly quiet so far for us, which has been, I suppose, a nice break. So we had our first gig of the year a couple of weeks ago. I think you were there at the
at the Black Prince, yeah.
And we've got a couple coming up, so yeah, it's good.
And Henrik, it's sort of a lot of festivals towards the end of last year, wasn't it? You were getting involved in quite a few things.
Yeah, there were 3 in November. I suppose traditionally perhaps an odd time to have festivals, but yeah, we had HRH, ABC, like an amalgamation of postponed dates from AOR, then Blues and Crows, so 3 of the HRH events all combined into one in Great Yarmouth. There was a gig in Scotland, Winter Storm. We hadn't done that before. That was good. And Planet Rockstock, which was probably the biggest event and the biggest one for us. That was a really nice way to end the year, actually. With festivals, a few big events, and especially Rockstock, that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I'll come back to talk to you about the Mason Hill tour in a minute, but I'm interested in Rockstock. That was the biggest audience you've played?
Oh, what do you reckon?
I think probably Steelhouse was probably biggest.
Okay.
Yeah, Steelhouse being outdoor, so I think it's about 4,000 capacity at Steelhouse.
I think it's like 4 or 5, but I guess probably we went on early, didn't we? Back in the
so I think we maybe had 2,000. The Rockstock indoors, it was a big room.
750 to 1,000, something like that. I think a max 1,000 cap, I think.
So how was it playing to sort of a couple of thousand people? Quite a bit more than you've been sort of used to up to now, I suppose.
It was pretty incredible. It's not just the amount of people that are listening, watching. It's the size, the size of the stage. Being on tour and playing festivals, you can be playing sort of tiny little clubs 1 minute and then playing something like Stillhouse, which for us, I think, is the largest thing we've done. It was quite something. So simply having all that space and the ego ramp, which I made use of on a few occasions, it was quite something. The scale of it, and it was a very, very special moment for us.
Good.
I think the weird thing about the big stages is that if you've got a big stage and you've got a big room or a big area outside where you get a weird effect sometimes, like we had at Steelhouse, where we've got a massive stage. We can see people coming into what effectively is their arena at the top of a mountain, but sometimes it can look a little bit thin until it actually gets full. So it's almost like playing, I'm not going to say to an empty room or to a half-filled room, but it's that perspective of when it's rammed, or even like 2,000 people at Steelhouse might not feel quite as busy as 350 people crammed into a small venue, if you see what I mean. There's a different sort of intensity about it. Yeah. But it suited us quite well in terms of big stage, try to create a big sound and a big atmosphere, and even at a Sunday lunchtime or so, then works out for us. We like the big stages.
I'm not surprised, because that's the thing about the Empyre sound, isn't it? It is an expansive sound. It's a sort of it's a soundscape almost, isn't it? Most of your numbers, they're big numbers.
It would be nice to. It's very hard for us to get an idea of how it sounds out front, but that's what we're always aiming for. We're aiming to create an atmosphere and to make the biggest noise possible, but not necessarily the loudest noise possible. That's how I describe it.
After we played at Stillhouse, I was walking around and having a chat to people. I was talking to one fellow who said that he had a bit of an emotional moment listening to Only Way Out on top of the mountain, sort of just taking in the scenery. The sun was coming out. Obviously we were playing, and said it actually brought him to tears, which was it's, moments like that are pretty amazing to get that sort of feedback.
And I mean that's a very sort of anthemic number, isn't it? Really, Only Way Out. It's your sort of your anthem type thing, isn't it? That all your fans are ready for, really.
It definitely resonates. You do get a lot of people telling us it's how emotional that track makes them feel. We've had quite a few people say it brings them to tears. It's definitely quite special, and it gets a reaction every time we play it.
And then, of course, there was the Mason Hill tour. You guys looked as though you were having a blast out on the road with Mason Hill and Hollow Star. I think I managed to catch you 3 times in all. I promise I wasn't stalking you. But, enjoy it?
That was, yeah, I think that, from a personal perspective, I enjoyed it actually more than I even thought I was going to. It was, part of that was because it was just nice to be out on the road. Part of it was because it just turns out that both the guys in Hollow Star and Mason Hill were really nice guys, and we got good crowds, which we weren't sure about. I mean, you were at the Brighton gig, and admittedly, the Brighton gig was an exception to what was generally a rule. But I
just thought the Brighton. Sorry.
Carry on, Tony.
I was just going to say, I just thought the Brighton venue was all wrong. It's it was sort of all on the side, but it was quite a strange venue. I think it was, not a good venue for anybody, I would have thought.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the sole redeeming thing of that was, I think we had about 15-20 minutes, Grant, to set up and sound check, and the sound guy was actually great and managed to give us a pretty good sound for as little time as we had in a tiny space. I mean, the stage was quite small, and then there was a backstage area that literally was behind the stage, and you could go in one side and come out the back, and that had to have like our kit and Hollow Star's kit in there for the most part. It was minute, wasn't it? And roasting hot, Grant.
Yeah, I remember sort of backstage tripping up over your gear, trying to pack down. Yeah, that was the people there enjoyed themselves. Yeah,
absolutely.
It was an okay night.
Yeah, absolutely. It became apparent. I mean, having caught you 3 times at different stages during that tour, it became quite apparent how much you were enjoying it as well, being out there playing and trying out new numbers and that sort of thing. And just you could almost feel the rapport between all the musicians that were on the tour. That it's sometimes you go on tours, don't you? And you don't get much respect as being the support band or whatever. But I felt that that was coming through from all the bands, really.
I think we're treated very well. As Henrik said, both Mason Hill and Hollow Star, both the bands and crew, everyone was great and everyone got on. It was a real privilege. After so long of being sort of locked down and not being able to do this sort of thing, to be able to go out for 3 weeks and sort of play night after night, even with COVID, it was special, and it was lucky that we all managed to steer clear of catching COVID. We had some fairly restrictive rules that we had to follow. So we weren't allowed to sort of mix. We had to connect with the crowd, so we had to keep quite separate. But that allowed the tour to go on and for people to be safe. So for so long, not being able to do this sort of thing, to not be able to get out and play live, getting out for 3 weeks was really special. Really enjoyed it, and I think everyone was just so happy to be doing what they love. And that showed.
I certainly showed. I think I saw the video of the last night in Oxford, was it?
Yes.
We were on stage together.
Yeah, that was a good night. We got to let our hair down that night, last night of the tour. So all just went for it. was a great night.
Yeah, that was interesting. That was a lot of fun though. It was, yeah, yeah. I suppose there proper sort of tour shenanigans going on there, and yeah, I look forward to seeing both those guys again. They're like the groups, they're both the bands, and as Grant said, the crew. Everybody was great. It was just yeah. I think, and what you said, Tony, about does seem as if you're not the only one who could really feel it. That we were all having a good time. We were all enjoy being on tour together, and it was kind of cool that we had a bit of a break in between the 2 weeks of because I think, Grant, we really felt it on that Monday after the first
going back
week,
to
and
work
it was just like,
terrible.
wait a minute, why aren't we still on tour? But then we knew we still had the second week to look forward to. But then you got that feeling again, and then that time you weren't going back on tour. It's a weird thing, but yeah, looking forward to getting back out on the road.
Yeah, you were due at HRH New Wave of Classic Rock, weren't you, in Leicester in January? But I think poor old Elliot managed to get himself COVID for that. He was telling me.
Yep, yeah, he did. Yeah, so it caught us. It's caught one of us. Hopefully, it won't catch any of the rest of us. But I think we've got away pretty lightly. That only one of us has actually got it, as far as we're aware. Over the last 2 years, and especially with the tour. I mean, God,
I mean, it's amazing that I think that with so many musicians together on that tour, that you got all the way through it without losing a day or losing any of it really.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah,
very fortunate compared to a lot of the other bands who we know got to go out on tour 2 days in and then bang, it's over.
So as you said, Black Prince was your first gig this year, and what a night that was. I thought that was a really excellent performance. And did you enjoy being back in your hometown?
Yeah, it's always nice to play a local gig, particularly with the King Billy closing. It's nice to kind of, I suppose, home ourselves or rehome ourselves at another sort of good local venue. The Black Prince have put in a lot of effort over to lockdown. They've converted their gardens, and we played a few lockdown gigs there and inside as well. They've it's a really good space to play. And I think it was about 250 capacity, Henrik. Is that about right?
Yeah, I think so. About that.
The sound engineer, Ollie's great. So it's good sound, good setup. And it's great to play a local gig, see some sort of local faces.
I'm sort of quite lucky because I've got a friend who lives in Northampton, so I've always got a bed to travel up to, which is great. So, that explains why I've been up to see you 3 times there, 2 garden gigs and 1 inside. So, I really enjoyed that gig. So what's next then? I think you're doing the other side shortly, I believe.
Yeah, so next week, a special one-off acoustic gig in a church, and I'd say a church of all places, because that's not really the sort of place where you'd necessarily find Empyre, especially if you know anything about the lyrics to Homegrown. It's but we've played there once before, and it is a really great place to play. The venue looks great. The venue sounds great. It might be a little bit full on if we were doing electric, but for the acoustic stuff, works really well. So yeah, it's our opportunity to support a local cause called Johnny's Happy Place, which supports people with mental health issues through community and creativity, and that's for anybody and everybody that wants that support in Northamptonshire and further afield. So part of the proceeds are going to them, and we get to do a nice, I suppose, relaxed evening of gigging, which it's nice to do the kind of hot,
we get to sit down.
Stage. Pardon?
We get to sit down.
Yeah, we get to and for we're not as young as we were.
Well, speak for yourself, Henry.
Oh, you're getting younger, are you?
I'm not as old as you, so
that's true. So it's a nice relaxed sit down gig for us and for everybody else, and then to support acts in Wolf Moon, who maybe some of your listeners know. They were formerly called Lethbridge Owen, and then they became into a more fully formed band and called themselves Wolf Moon, but they're doing a duo acoustic set. And then before that, a local actor, a guy called Kieran Farrow, who's part instrumentalist and also does some songs with singing in as well. So it should be good.
Okay, well, I probably ought to confess then that I am stalking you, because I'll be at that gig as well.
Look forward to seeing you there, Tony.
Great. What's on the agenda after that? You know, have you got more live work lined up?
Well, we actually got a gig this weekend, haven't we?
Oh.
Yeah, gig in Blackpool this weekend.
Yeah, it's a massive weekender. Yeah, in Blackpool at the Waterloo. Which is,
I saw that.
One of my favourite venues.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, it's always a good place to play.
Looks like a good venue.
Great crowd. Yeah, it's an excellent venue. Great sound. Ian's the top chap that runs it. Yeah, good local scene. Lots of local support.
Because you put up one of the previous times you played there, you put up a video of your set, didn't you? I believe on YouTube.
Oh yeah, there was a YouTube video. They did have I think they have the situation where they can stream some of the sets sometimes. So yeah, I'm not sure whether that's around anymore, but there was because that was pretty much, well, that was during the pandemic when we were just about back into pubs. So yeah, they were streaming it out there. But as Grant said, it's a great venue, and yeah, we're looking forward to going back there. I think the last couple of years we must have played there, what, 6-7 times, Grant, at the Waterloo. It's always good to go back. It's a great place. Then towards the end of this month, we're doing Sound Bay Festival in Swansea in Wales. So that'll be our first time in Swansea at a place called Patty Pavilion. I think that's about 1,000 cap as well. That's quite a big one. And then it's more festivals in terms of, I mean, we hope to announce some other stuff in between, but there's nothing we can announce at the moment. But we'll be doing Call of the Wild Festival, so that's Lincolnshire Showground. Just Push Play, I can't say it, Just Push Play Festival, Bury St Edmunds. That's the end of July, and then Savfest, which we did that last year. That's another kind of charity mental health inspired event. That's in Colville. We had a great gig there.
Oh, we're doing it again.
Pub, but we're doing that again in August.
Oh, cool.
Actually, I looked at that last year. There was a huge roster of bands playing that, wasn't there? Sort of a lot of bands from the new wave of classic rock were sort of in that lineup. Do you guys think of yourself as being part of that new wave of classic rock, or do you not see that as a genre really?
I see it as a genre, but I think we're in a fortunate position where we may not be exactly true to the definition of new wave of classic rock, but it's really nice to have a foot in that camp and have the support of that camp. I think that the perhaps negative side to where we sit, but ultimately I hope will be a positive, is that we might be quite hard to pigeonhole. So you can't say that we're NWOCR, you can't say we're hard rock, you can't say, or at least we're not pure either one of those, we're not pure prog, we're not pure anything apart from underneath the banner of rock. So I don't know, maybe we have our own genre, Tony.
I think that's probably true, actually, because one of my listeners was asking me the other day, you know, where I thought you sat, and I said, well, I think there's something for everybody there. If you like rock music, you know, you can find prog in there, you can find classic rock, you can find echoes with hard rock on occasions as well. So, you know, I think you're bestriding all of those subgenres.
Yeah, we've been described, I think, in many different things. Art rock, someone was saying. Atmospheric
Indecisive rock.
I haven't heard that one.
Indecisive.
Indecisive rock. I quite like it though.
What genre are we?
Yeah. Indecisive.
Yeah, that's quite an interesting moniker, that, isn't it?
We had nagging rock. A lovely review from somebody in Belgium of The Other Side, and they put us in the category of at least a nagging song, which was Only Way Out.
Okay.
And yeah, so yeah, nagging rock and indecisive rock, they're two of my favorites.
Yeah. Yes, okay. Well, I will introduce you that way on the radio the next time I tell you that. here's a nagging rock tune from an indecisive rock.
The kind of style we like, Tony. I mean,
Yeah.
you've seen our rules. There's no singing,
I know,
there's no
yeah.
clapping, there's
Don't
no
enjoy
looking like
yourself.
you're having a good time. So yeah.
No. So one thing that interests me is who's the baby of the band? I've always got the idea it's probably Elliot, but am I right or am I wrong? I'm right. I thought I was. Yeah. Yeah. How long have you all been together as a unit?
Oh, I've been in the band. Is it 4 years now?
We had this discussion on Saturday. We couldn't.
Did we?
Yeah, over breakfast, Grant. Don't you know? No.
Well, I was about to say, was I drunk for breakfast?
I was going to say, it must have
I
been
don't know.
a good night the night before, Grant.
Yeah. Well, so when did you? 2017? Was it 27? July, August 2017, something like that. That's what I think it was. Could have been
Yeah,
later.
sounds
Could have been
about
18.
right.
2018. I don't know.
Because it was
And then-
July. I started auditioning in April, so it took months and months and months for them to eventually let me in the band.
Should have been better to start with.
I think the ad's still up somewhere. So if there is a better bass player out there, which there is many, then they're still looking.
I think it's a bass player that fits the band, though. That's.
Yeah, if I cut my hair off, then I'm out.
I think that's probably it. Yeah, it's the flowing of those locks, Grant, that makes. That's probably what gives them their classic rock genre. People look at you and they think, oh yeah, they're classic rock now because there's
Actually, there was a review from the album party. I think was it Elliot looks like was an estate agent and looks like a chemistry teacher. I think you were a salesperson or something.
No, I looked like the most unlikely person to front a rock band or hard rock band. There you go. Yeah. And you were the only one who looked rock, which I think is a fair comment because yeah. Aside from Did's cowboy boots, we're pretty much all out of rock. But yeah, I think, and Elliot's been in the band 2.5,
something like 2 years.
Yep, something like that. So and Did and I mean, Empyre really started late 2016. I think our first gig as Empyre was the Hut in Corby, not too far from here. We played with Black Orchid Empyre, which first time we ever played under Empyre, we were playing with another band, but Black Orchid Empyre spelled normally. Typical. Yeah, so I think that was November 2016.
Okay. Right. So Kettering next, few more festivals, and I'm sure that we'll hear some new music from you at some stage. So that will be great. It's been great hearing the new songs on the road. I'd love to see Elliot getting a good workout to Parasites.
Yeah, that is some severely impressive drumming from him on that. Yeah, I think we can't say when you'll hear the new stuff. Of course, we are playing some of it live, so that's basically, if you want to hear new music, come and see us live. It will get released. Quite when, can't tell you just at the moment.
That's fair enough, and I will not ask anything else about it. Okay, guys. Well, I shall look forward to seeing you in Kettering a week on Friday. Got my hotel room booked, so I got no bed in Kettering, so I've got to stay in a hotel. But looking forward to that. I'm really, really grateful to you for coming along tonight and having a chat. It's always nice to have a chat with you. And take care, and I'll see you both soon.
Thanks, Tony.
Thanks, Tony.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
You're welcome.